Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Tonight is Monday, August 5th, 2024. This is a regular meeting of the Minnetonka City Council. I will call this meeting to order. And it was mentioned to me just before the start of the meeting to remind people that there are hearing devices available for anyone in the audience. If they are needed, please let us know and we can make sure that you have them. And with that, I will ask you to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Dahman, would you please call roll?
Wilburn.
Here.
Calvert.
Here.
Rameli.
Here.
Coakley.
Here.
Foster Bolton.
Here.
Shack.
Here.
Wearsome.
Here. Next item is approval of the agenda, and Mr. Funk told me that there is no addenda tonight, but Mr. Funk, anything to add?
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As the Mayor noted, we do not have an addenda for you this evening, and so the agenda is being recommended to be approved as submitted. Thank you.
Excellent. Councilmember Calvert?
Thank you, Mayor. I make the motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Councilmember Rameli?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Calvert and a second by Councilmember Rameli. Ms. Dahman, please call roll.
Wilburn.
Yes.
Calvert.
Yes.
Rameli.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Foster Bolton.
Yes.
Shack.
Yes.
Wearsome.
Yes, motion carries. Next item is approval of minutes, and we have no minutes to approve tonight. Then we have special matters, and we do not have a special matter tonight. So the next item is reports from city manager and council members. Mr. Funk.
Again, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. A couple items for your consideration this evening. First is an event happening this Thursday, August 8th at 6 o'clock p.m. It's a webinar hosted by the City of Minnetonka. It'll be 1 hour in length regarding waste reduction and recycling. The webinar will include a presentation, as I mentioned, by staff on plastic recycling, traditional recycling, organic recycling, where waste goes after it's picked up, how you can reduce waste, and all of our waste reduction efforts here at the city. There is a sign-up required for the event, and you can go to our website to participate. Also then want to recognize Officer Joe Mace from our Minnetonka Police Department. He was recognized by the U.S. Police Canine Association Region 12, and he was awarded the Eric Christensen Spirit Award. And this goes again out to Joe Mace. This award recognizes an individual who promotes the values of Region 12 and the U.S. Police Canine Association values while demonstrating strong moral character and true sportsmanship towards the betterment of police service dogs. So congratulations to Officer Mace. Also then want to mention that the primary is next Tuesday, August 13th. So that is a week from tomorrow. Polls open at 7 a.m. and will close at 8 o'clock p.m. And then our annual event, Night to Unite, is tomorrow night. And so that's always exciting. I really appreciate all the effort of our staff. Mainly police department does a lot of the facilitation and logistics for this event, but other departments are involved, police and public works, as well as directors. And I think some of our council members will also be out and about tomorrow night. It's a fun event every year. We have roughly 160 parties that have registered. And so we do try to make a presence at any party that requests presence, and many do. And so a lot of our staff members, including council, will be out celebrating Night to Unite tomorrow night. And then last, just want to mention that this Friday, August 9th, there is Summer in the Commons that is hosted by Avador. So there'll be food trucks, music, fun events being hosted at the Ridgedale Commons this Friday from 6 to 8 o'clock p.m. So with that, Mayor and Council, turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Funk. And council members, anything that you would like to report? Councilmember Calvert.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll try to keep it brief. First of all, congratulations to Officer Mace. I think he took me on my first ride-along, I think. So that's pretty exciting. And that was with Duke. So I remember that. And I also attended the Metro Cities, my Metro Cities committee meeting. It has to do with Met Council and their relationship to cities. And there was a lot of talk about, housing, zoning, planning and the priorities from metro cities on those issues, as well as regional sewer and water issues, because and who's responsible for governing. So that was actually a very important and enlightening meeting. And I also attended the Minnetonka employee picnic, and you know, it's just a little thing, but I mean, it's just so great to see just our wonderful staff just socializing, not working, except for Pam, who works in fire, who has to organize everything. But anyway, it's always just wonderful to see my colleagues there and see our wonderful staff come with their kids and eat some food and just sit and relax. And the weather was a little nastier even than it is right now, and by the time I got home, we were out of power there for a while. So, but I just really appreciate everything our staff does. And I just want the public to know that we really do have an exceptional staff. So it's always good to just take a moment to sing their praises.
Thank you, Councilmember Calvert. Councilmember Coakley.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to echo City Manager Mike stating that the primary is happening on August 13th, and I would encourage everyone to go out and vote. And also the early voting, you can vote at the City Hall, and otherwise you can vote at your area that you typically vote at. You can check the Secretary of State website, voting location if you don't know where to vote. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I did check a couple of the locations for different addresses, and they seem to be able to vote at their normal voting location. So there was some confusion about that, so I just want to double check with that. So, thank you.
Thank you. Other reports from council members? All right, seeing none, I've got a couple things. I can say I voted today. I looked at my calendar and realized I was going to be out of town next Tuesday, so I voted today. And it was very efficient. You still have to fill out the absentee ballot application if you don't vote on election day, but now you can directly submit your ballot, and so it goes pretty quickly, and it took me all of 5 minutes. It's not a long ballot this year. The second thing I want to mention is that I received two letters from the League of Minnesota Cities, and two of our representatives, Representative Patty Acom and Senator Steve Swedzinski, were recognized by the League as legislators of distinction, which is significant. And the League recognizes legislators who have been particularly helpful on city issues in the most recent legislative session. And both, I can speak based on personal experience, both Senator Swedzinski and Representative Acom were very helpful to cities and on city issues. And so this is much deserved. I'm very pleased that they were recognized, and I will make a point of calling them and congratulating them on their recognition. So wanted to mention that. And then, and that's it. So unless anyone else has anything else, we'll move on. So item 8, next item is citizens wishing to discuss matters not on the agenda. So if there's anyone in the audience who would like to mention something to the council that is not on the agenda, please come forward, state your name and address, and tell us what you have to say. And I'm not seeing anyone, so we will keep moving. Next item is bids and purchases, and we have none of those tonight. So that brings us to the consent agenda. And the consent agenda are items that are typically routine. So the way it works is that they will be read into the record. And if anyone, whether a council member or someone in the audience, would like to pull one of them, please indicate that. We will pull that item, and then we will vote on the remaining items and then go back to that item. And I did want to mention that item 10B will be pulled tonight. That is the adoption of the 2024 Hennepin County Multi-Jurisdiction Hazardous Mitigation Plan. And I'm going to pull that because it's a very long and detailed and thorough document. And I will fess up, I did not read every word on every page of that document. You know, I know. I'll have to cut my pay for this week. But it's a very interesting and well-done document. And I thought that we should pull that so that we could at least discuss any questions or comments that people have. So with that, I'll read the other items. I'll read them all into the record, and then we are going to pull item B. So item 10A is resolutions pertaining to levying the 2024 special assessments. Item 10B, again, is adoption of the 2024 Hennepin County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazardous Mitigation Plan. And item 10C is approve membership in the Hennepin County Fire Chiefs Association. So I'm looking for a motion on items 10A and C. Councilmember Wilburn.
I move approval of consent agenda items 10A and 10C.
And is there a second? Councilmember Calvert.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll second.
All right, a motion by Councilmember Wilburn and a second by Councilmember Calvert. Ms. Dahman, please call roll.
Wilburn,
Yes.
Calvert,
Yes.
Rameli,
Yes.
Coakley,
Yes.
Foster Bolton,
Yes.
Shack,
Yes.
Wearsome.
Yes. So that brings us back to the item that was pulled, item 10B. And I will turn first to Mr. Funk to make a few comments, and then I think we have some other folks who can comment as well.
Yes,
Mike,
again,
Mr.
thank you,
Funk.
Mayor. Oh, sorry about that. Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Behind me is a couple of our chiefs. One is our Kevin Fox, our fire chief, and next to Mr. Fox is Aaron Morris, our assistant fire chief, who is in charge of our emergency management coordination. And so you'll hear from Mr. Morris in a few seconds, but I'd like to just acknowledge the work of our team. In our process, and this has stretched now, and you'll hear from Mr. Morris, some time in pulling this document together. In the staff report, it talks about the last time this was reviewed as 2018. And so since that time, it's like with any document, it's a living document that needs to be updated periodically. And so there's been a lot of effort. Mr. Morris has been instrumental in working with Hennepin County and other cities in Hennepin County on this document. And the mayor's correct, it's a lengthy document. There's a lot of substance to emergency management planning and coordination. And so again, a great thank you to our staff that pulled this document together. And part of emergency management is making sure we're coordinated and that we're prepared for any type of emergency. And so I think from my perspective, and for you, council, as we talk to residents and our businesses, that we can sleep well at night and rest assured that if something were to happen, that we have professionals with plans in place that are available and ready to respond immediately to any type of situation. So with that, I really at this point like to turn it over to Aaron Morris. He has a brief presentation for you this evening just to go through a little more of the details about the plan. And then I think Mr. Morris will also introduce a representative from Hennepin County. So with that, Mayor and Council, Mr. Morris.
Thank you, City Manager Mike Funk. I also like to invite Dalton Herding from Hennepin County Emergency Management to the podium, and while he's making his way up there, I just want to thank the council, the mayor of the council, for allowing us to present on this and hoping to move favorably on the adoption. Mr. Herding is going to talk a little about kind of that brief history and what the plan is all about, and I'm going to talk specifically to a little more to the plan and kind of our goals and projects here in the city of Minnetonka. So I'll let Mr. Herding address the council.
Thank you, Assistant Chief Morris.
Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. My name is Dalton Herding. I am the Planning and Systems Integration Coordinator with Hennepin County Emergency Management. And I'm looking forward to talking with you all about hazard mitigation as it relates to Minnetonka tonight. So just as a background, when it comes to the history of hazard mitigation, it really originated with the 1988 Stafford Act. That really outlined how at a federal level, we really mobilize in response to disasters. Well, in the 11 or 12 years following that, what we found is that we weren't doing a very good job of it. And so hazard mitigation was really born with the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000. What that did was it really made our post-disaster efforts more effective when it comes with mobilizing assistance and having that assistance flow from a federal level down to the state level and then down to a local level. It also outlined local requirements for hazard mitigation planning to help reduce our vulnerability at the level that it really matters. And it also outlined programs to help build communities up both on a day-to-day basis as well as in a post-disaster scenario where those post-disaster mitigation funds are important for kind of providing a jump start to the economy following something very impactful to a community. And so that's really the big picture of where it came from. Now, how does it apply to you? In Hennepin County, we established the Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan in 2010. That was obviously well before my time, but I can attest that there was a revision cycle in 2018 as well as 2024. And those revision cycles help us keep our policies, our procedures, and our current stance up to date for how it applies at a local level, as well as keeping up with modern hazard mitigation practices. So, another thing I was asked to talk with you all about today is why should you adopt this plan? And there's really a variety of reasons. The details in this hazard mitigation plan really help you enhance your local resiliency so you can be more resilient to large-scale disasters. It also, and this is the one that typically is the big hook for jurisdictions, especially when I deploy in a post-disaster scenario, is it supports your eligibility for hazard mitigation program funding. There's some day-to-day programs like the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities program and the Flood Mitigation Assistance program, but the big one when it comes to emergency management is that post-disaster hazard mitigation grant program. That's that one I was talking about that kind of helps jumpstart your economy following a disaster and really helps build up your infrastructure in a more resilient way. And so that's really the history of emergency management, and that's kind of some of the reasons to adopt. And I'll leave you with this. Your hazard mitigation plan is kind of like your passport when it comes to hazard mitigation funding. You fill out some information regarding it, you do your due diligence with getting that passport, and it supports your eligibility to travel for those hazard mitigation grant programs. And with that, I believe it's Chief Morris's turn to speak on the plan.
Thank you, Mr. Herding. So for the council, staff recognizes that there were several errors and omissions while they were doing some versioning and compiling the document from the many jurisdictions in Hennepin County. Mr. Herding and I were working this afternoon to fix a lot of those. To kind of address a few of those, one of the mentions was earthquakes in Minnetonka. And there is an ancient fault line running through central Minnesota that could potentially affect Minnetonka. It was in the original 2010 plan that was a kind of a copy and paste error, if you will. From that standpoint, school districts, we only recognize school districts that are headquartered in Minnetonka, which was Minnetonka Schools. And then lastly, on the dashboard, there were several numbers associated with our top 3 plans. Those are just identifying the actual goals in a couple pages down, a few pages later. So I just want to reiterate those top 3 goals that were identified by staff in the hazard mitigation, which were implement a community-wide climate action and adaptation plan, which I believe we're well on our way. Securing grant funding for some backup generators for some of our community and city facilities that serve as shelters or community lifelines in the event of a disaster. And then looking at how our zoning ordinances create barriers to respond and recover from before, during, and after a disaster. So again, those 3 were identified by staff. Some of the other goals, projects in the plan that we've identified include kind of utilizing GIS in a more thoughtful and deliberate way to assess, plan, and prepare for natural hazards, doing some tabletop exercises, and then expanding some translation services for public education to make sure our folks that English is a second language can understand and help prepare them and prevent any type of negative effects from hazard or natural disasters. So with that, we will stand for any questions from the council.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Chief. And yeah, there's a lot there. But as when I was talking with Mr. Funk today, it's one of those things where I don't have to know every detail about what's there, but I'm glad that I know it's there. And I remember when we declared a state of emergency for the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, there was a plan, and there was a plan on the shelf, and our team knew what to do. And it's so important to have these plans. It's not important for each of us to know all the details. We should know about the details, the information that affects us, but these plans are really important. So, Council, any questions that you'd like to, Councilmember Calvert, regarding the plan?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple of questions, and I'll just start with this one. So on page 14 of the background county profile, it clearly lays out, and you can kind of see it in the items that are covered in the plan, that the focus is on natural disasters, but there are other disasters, and my husband, having been involved in FEMA for 20 years, 9/11, and so other things do happen. So can you talk a little bit about how man-made disasters might, and I also think about I-35W bridge collapse, which was really a man-made disaster. How does that fit in this?
Sure, Councilmember Calvert. I'll invite Dalton back to the podium too, just to see if he has any other insight. But this does include technical as well as man-made hazards as well, but it does have a vast majority of the focus on the natural disasters, specifically because those are, FEMA reimbursable.
Mr. Herding.
Yes, and just to provide additional insight to what Chief Morris is saying, it is, and especially when it comes from experienced how some of these programs are implemented and the projects that you do see implemented, it is much easier to actually measure and study more of a fixed natural hazard and implement measures to counteract it than to measure these very complicated man-made or human-caused scenarios. It's just very different. And really, when you see projects get implemented and you see successful projects, the grand majority of them are natural hazards based, just because, to go a little too in depth with it, there's a benefit cost analysis that's performed, and when it's easy to measure that, it's more likely for a project to succeed. There are other types of funding programs that focus more on those man-made and technological hazards, like UASI, for example. I hope that helps provide some clarification.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. And I have one other question. So in the, it's the 2024 Volume 2 confidential hazard inventory. I think it was on page 44. I can't remember. There were tables. Trying to remember where it was. Maybe 144. Do you remember what
Nope.
page I told you, Mike?
Is that what,
Mr.
sorry, Deb, but I talked to him about that this morning as well, it's pages 44 to 48, about the
Yeah.
graph, and Minnetonka has,
Yeah,
Yep.
so there's data missing, not just for us, but for other cities as well, and I was just wondering if there's anything we should know about that, or if it's just one of those updates that you
No,
were
it was a versioning, emission. So those are all being updated. So.
Great, thank you.
Very good. Are there other questions, Council? Well, our task before us is to approve the plan, and again, it's an update of a plan. It's a very thorough and detailed plan, and I'm very appreciative that this plan exists, and I really found it fascinating as I looked through the plan. And again, I didn't read every word on every page, but as I looked through it, it was interesting to we have all of the communities in Hennepin County, and it was just interesting to compare and contrast some of the challenges in other communities versus what we have. And then I also thought that in the maps that show the differences in different communities and different parts of communities with different populations of the demographics and age, race, English as a first language or a second language, multilingual. I mean, it's just such a valuable and interesting piece or document, because there's so much information there that if we all spend time studying it, we'll be much more knowledgeable about what's happening in our community and in Hennepin County at large. So it's a very well done and instructive document. So thank you all. So with that, if there is a motion, if somebody, Councilmember Shack.
Thank you, Mayor. I move adoption of the 2024 Hennepin County Multi-Jurisdictional Hazard Mitigation Plan.
And a second. Councilmember Foster Bolton.
I'll second.
All right, we've got a motion by Councilmember Shack and a second by Councilmember Foster Bolton. Ms. Dahman, please call roll.
Wilburn,
Yes.
Calvert,
Yes.
Rameli,
Yes.
Coakley,
Yes.
Foster Bolton,
Yes.
Shack,
Yes.
Wearsome.
Yes, motion carries. Next item is consent agenda items that require 5 votes. We have none of those tonight. Item 12 is introduction of ordinances, and we have none of those tonight. This is a pretty easy agenda for us tonight. And so item 13 is public hearings, and we have 3. So item 13A is a temporary liquor license for the Minnetonka Rotary Club for Links and Libations event at 14350 County Road 62. And thank you all for being here tonight. Ms. Wishnak, I believe you have that report.
I do, thank you. Just a short report about a temporary liquor license for the Rotary Club of Minnetonka. And if you're familiar, they do have this annual event at the golf course, and it would be September 12th that the event would be taking place. We have not encountered any issues in the past with this event or any compliance problems. So with that, staff would recommend approval of the temporary license. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, council, any questions for staff? I'm not seeing any. So this is a public hearing item. So I'm going to open the public hearing. And if anyone would like to comment on this item, please come forward, state your name and address, and tell us what we need to know.
Good evening, Mayor Wearson and council members. My name is Chris Rosenlund. I'm here representing the Minnetonka Rotary Club. It's the club for building responsible youth and the club that's more fun than you want it to be. And I'm here in support of our temporary liquor license application. As you just heard, this is our Links and Libations annual golf fundraiser event, September 12th, Thursday, at the Glen Lake Golf and Practice Facility. And we've been doing this for a number of years at that facility. 100% of the net proceeds go into our foundation, which supports a lot of local and international charitable initiatives, such as scholarships at Hopkins and Minnetonka High School, ICA Food Shelf, and clean water projects in Guatemala and Nicaragua. So we combine this money with other monies that we get from Rotary International Foundation and try to make it go a long ways towards building responsible youth and making the world a little bit better place to live in.
Well, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Is there, council, any questions for Ms. Rosemond? All right.
Great.
think
Well,
that-
and if I could extend an invitation to any of you, I know, Mayor, you've been there, and Councilperson Shack, you are a member. So I don't know if that has to recuse you from or not. But we'd like to have you all pass an invitation out to you to attend our meetings. We meet Wednesday morning, 7:30 a.m. at the Marsh. So if you have an opportunity to come by, have a little coffee, listen to a great speaker, and meet some great people that are active in your community, we certainly invite you to attend.
Great. Mr. Roseland, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, and thanks for everything that Rotary does in our community and around the world. So is there anyone else who would like to address the council on this item? Is there anyone? All right, seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and look to the council for a motion. Councilmember Calvert.
Thank you, Mayor. I am no use on a golf course, so that is not the event for me, but I will try another one sometime. But I'm happy to make the motion to approve a temporary liquor license for Minnetonka Rotary Club for Links and Libations at 14350 County Road 62.
And is there a second? Councilor Rameli?
I'll second the motion.
All right, we've got a motion by Councilmember Calvert and a second by Councilmember Rameli. I will say that you don't have to golf to attend this event. I
So
did not-
just the libations,
I
you're
did-
saying?
You can go for the libations, but they also have food, and the food's pretty good. And I'm going to see if I can get my nerve up to actually do the golf part this year, but we'll see. But
And a really great silent auction.
Yes,
And so
yes.
if you're like me and you love a silent auction,
So they've got, it's a very fun event, fun people, and anyway, so we've got a motion by Councilmember Calvert and a second by Councilmember Rameli. Ms. Dowman, please call roll.
Wilburn,
Yes.
Calvert,
Yes.
Rameli,
Yes.
Coakley,
Yes.
Foster Bolton,
Yes.
Shack,
yes.
Wearsome.
Yes, motion carries. Item 13B is an on-sale wine and on-sale 3.2 liquor license, or malt, 3.2% malt beverage liquor license for Mega Pickle and Pong Minnetonka LLC, doing business as Mega Pickleball at 17585 State Highway 7. Ms. Wishnak.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Once again, this is a liquor license. This is a permanent liquor license, however, for the location that you mentioned, Mayor. It is really in regard to a new restaurant concept that they're putting in called Pork and Pickle, and then they would obviously have alcohol service with that restaurant. Just so you're aware, it uses the iPorit system, which is a self-serving system. What's interesting about that system, it doesn't allow anybody to consume more than a certain amount of alcohol. If they have more, I think it's more than 32 ounces, they're required to check in with a server before any other alcohol is dispensed. So it does have some preventative components to using the more iPorit system technology. They also have training and requirements for training as well. We did not get any public feedback on the liquor license. We have conducted the appropriate background investigative reports, did not find anything of substance. And so with that, Mayor, we're recommending you continue that public hearing and grant the licenses.
All right, thank you so much. And this public hearing is open, but first, council, any questions for staff? All right, so then this public hearing has been opened. So is there anyone in the audience who would like to comment on the 3.2 malt beverage liquor license for Mega Pickle and Pong in Minnetonka? Is there anyone? All right, seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the council for consideration. Is there a motion? Councilmember Calvert?
Thank you, Mayor. I make the motion to approve the on-sale wine and on-sale 3.2% malt beverage liquor licenses for Mega Pickle and Pong.
Is there a second? Councilmember Shack?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll second.
All right, and Councilmember Calvert, I was going to challenge you to say that 5 times fast. But,
Apparently, I couldn't do it one time
well,
slowly,
okay,
so
well,
yeah.
we'll go with that. So we have a motion by Councilmember Calvert and a second by Councilmember Shack. Ms. Dowman, please call roll.
Wilburn,
Yes.
Calvert,
Yes.
Rameli,
Yes.
Coakley,
Yes.
Foster Bolton,
Yes.
Shack,
Yes.
Wearsome.
Yes, motion carries. So one more public hearing. Item 13C is items concerning El Fideo. I hope I pronounced that correctly. El Fideo Incorporated, doing business as El Bodegon at 17623 Minnetonka Boulevard. Again, Ms. Wishnak.
Thank you. In
And you
addition,
can correct me on the pronunciation of any of
I
that.
think you did pretty well,
All right.
Mr. Mayor. There are two different items on this one because there was an amendment that was required to the conditional use permits. I'll read through kind of what the Planning Commission said about that. But on the liquor license side, really, it's just switching owners. It is a family member that is buying the business from the current owner, and so the new person would be operating the liquor license. And basically, the concept is a tapas bar and having small plates to share, that sort of thing. They do project their food ratio to be about 75-25, 75% food, 25 alcohol. And we have conducted the appropriate background check, and we have not found any concerning issues with that. The Planning Commission did hear the conditional use permit on July 18th and looked at the requirements. They did not find any issues. There is a lot of different parking analysis that goes along with this center because there's various businesses. So there's always, whenever something changes in this area, we kind of do another look at the parking. And the Planning Commission found that it was acceptable, and they did vote on a 6-0 to recommend approval on the conditional use permit. With that, Mayor, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Otherwise, we recommend approval.
Great, thank you, Ms. Wishnak. And so, council, any questions on this item? This conditional use, or this public hearing was open previously. But any questions? All right, well, this is an open public hearing, and the applicant is welcome to come forward and take any questions or make any comments, or you're not required to. So if you'd like to come forward, please do so, and state your name and address, and if not, we can just continue. Welcome.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, welcome.
Welcome. Good evening, everybody. My name is Rene Ruiz Oliver, and so I will be the, as mentioned, the new person involved for the business or for El Bodegon, and I'm really excited to be here, and also to hear the opportunity and the new concept to grow for city of Minnetonka. So,
Excellent.
It's my first time standing up here, so you probably notice I'm a little nervous. But
Oh, you're
it's-
good.
it's part-
You're doing
it's-
just fine.
It's part of it, but I'm really excited. So hopefully we can do something about it.
Excellent.
Okay?
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, is there anyone else? Okay, then I will close the public hearing and turn to the council for a motion. Councilor Romali.
I make the motion to continue the public hearing from July 8th, 2024, and grant the wine and 3.2% malt beverage licenses. Oh, that's,
And then adopt the resolution.
and also adopt the resolution approving the conditional use permit. And look forward to welcoming another great business, 2 or 3.
Very good. And so is there a second? Councilmember Wilburn.
I will second.
Excellent. So we've got a motion by Councilmember Romali and a second by Councilmember Wilburn. Ms. Dahman, please call roll.
Wilburn,
Yes.
Calvert. Yes. Romali.
Yes.
Coakley.
Yes.
Foster Bolton.
Yes.
Shack.
Yes.
Wearsome.
Yes, motion carries. And I just want to say welcome. I know that this came up at an earlier time, and we heard about the tapas restaurant, and then this was delayed for whatever reasons, and we don't need to talk about that. But I do want to say that we're excited to have you, and I'm looking forward to checking the restaurant out when it opens. So welcome, and congratulations. All right, so that takes us to other business, and we have one item tonight, and that is resolution supporting Habitat for Humanity grant applications. And once again, Ms. Wishnak.
Yes, for the final presentation tonight, just a couple of authorizations that we need from the City Council. One is the Livable Communities Development Account Grant, or Livable Communities Demonstration Account Grant, excuse me. And really what that grant is for at the Metropolitan Council is for serving equitable development, and we are in the process of trying to apply for the grant for the Minnetonka Twin Home playground equipment, which would just be to the north of where the site was for their twin homes. And as you know, the playground is a little bit maybe needing some attention, and they were putting the plans together, and it was about $160,000 ticket item, which obviously they didn't have the funding for. So with this grant application, again, the city has to apply for the grant on behalf of the organization, and then it would be a pass-through grant to Habitat for Humanity. Again, all of that money was outside of any of the grant funding that we talked about before. This is in addition to this playground equipment was in addition to what their original plans were. We're coming close to the due date. It's due next week, so we're hopeful that the council can grant this resolution of support we have about 3 years to spend the money. So if it takes some time for this to get built, that works with the time frame for the grant. The second part of the grant application is for an LHIA, which is really just an affordable housing home ownership grant. And that grant is specifically trying to create home ownership for ethnic and racial groups of folks that haven't been able to own their own homes. And so that grant application is for $794,266. Again, if you remember the contract that we signed with Habitat, there's a series of grants in that. If they're successful in getting the grant, that just kind of decreases the city's participation in the project. So the more outside grants there are, the less local dollars that are required for their funding. And that's all documented in the contract. So when we get done with the project, we'll go back and we'll look at all of the accounting, and then we will determine what the city's portion of the project is. Again, that requires a resolution of support. That is due a little bit later in October, and they'll find out in December if they're successful in that grant application. Again, that's an acknowledgement of receptivity. That's a little bit different than the first resolution that you are asked to approve. But with those two reports, I just want to recommend approval of both. And if you have any questions, Mayor, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you, Ms. Wishnak. Council, any questions? I'm not seeing any. I've got one. So we all hope that these grants occur. And so if both grants occur, then there will be some money that the city had committed to the project that will roll back to the city. Will that money go to our general fund, or will it go to our Affordable Housing Trust Fund or somewhere else?
Mayor, it's only the second grant that is part of that mix. And the money that was committed to them came from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
So
and
go
that
back
just
there.
would be reduced,
Okay.
whatever dollars
Very good.
were expended.
Just curious, wanted to know. All right, with that, council, any comments or a motion? Councilmember Wilburn.
I move we adopt the resolution supporting Habitat for Humanity grant applications and authorize the city manager to execute and submit the acknowledgement of receptivity form.
Very good. Second, Councilmember Romali.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll second.
All right, we've got a motion by Councilmember Wilburn, a second by Councilmember Romali. Ms. Dahman, please call roll.
Wilburn,
Yes.
Calvert,
Yes.
Rameli,
Yes.
Coakley,
Yes.
Foster Bolton,
Yes.
Shack,
Yes.
Wearsome.
Yes, motion carries. So item 16 is everybody's favorite motion. Motion for adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn? Councilmember Wilburn.
I move adjournment.
Is there a second? Councilmember Calvert?
I'll second.
All right, a motion by Councilmember Wilburn and a second by Councilmember Calvert. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.